The European Union is being ruthlessly played by strongmen foreign leaders as it struggles to shake off its self-appointed and self-delusional role as an upholder of international rules, a leading political commentator has warned. Hans Kribb said the Ring of Friends hoped for 15 years ago by the then European Commission President Romano Prodi was in fact a circle of czars, sultans and emperors who trample over a timid EU to protect their own interests. Mr. Kribb's comments come as Brussels faces a number of pressing foreign policy issues which make it look powerless on the global stage. The recent poisoning in Russia of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny with Novichok was met with outrage across the EU, but Vladimir Putin continues to pursue his interests with little fear of rebuke from Brussels. It took almost a year for the EU to agree to sanctions after a nerve agent attack in 2018 on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal in Salisbury, although EU foreign ministers yesterday backed a Franco-German plan to impose sanctions on those Russians suspected trying to kill Mr. Navalny. EU diplomats said there was broad support among the 27 foreign ministers for asset freezes and travel bans on several Russian GRU military intelligence officials. The EU also appeared slow off the mark when Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan decided to rip up the map of the eastern Mediterranean and send gas and oil exploration vessels into waters claimed by Greece. Chinese President Xi Jinping continues to make his presence felt on the EU's doorstep by extending his influence to the Balkans and plows ahead with his own economic and political objectives as the EU looks on. Xi put EU leaders in their place last month when he told them his country did not need an instructor on human rights. Even Europe's transatlantic relationship looks shaky, with Donald Trump dismissing the EU as almost as bad as China, just smaller, before launching trade wars, imposing sanctions and threatening to pull out of NATO. And Brussels also stands accused of failing to have the backbone to deal with strongmen leaders within the bloc itself, with member states such as Poland, Hungary and Bulgaria appearing unconcerned about the threat of sanctions for breaching EU rules on democracy and judicial independence. Unlike Hungary and Poland, Bulgaria has avoided formal action by promising changes and setting up bodies to combat graft and overhaul the judiciary, but it has dragged its feet and was censured by the European Parliament last week. Earlier, the European Commission criticized Bulgaria's shortcomings on courts' independence and the lack of senior officials jailed on corruption charges in its first report on rule of law in the EU.